your extended forecast.
Time now for the tropical update here on the Weather Channel Evening Edition West Coast. 10 till the top of the hour. I'm meteorologist Warren Madden. And we have a powerful storm, a very powerful storm in the Atlantic. But right now, fortunately, it is not threatening land. If you look just to the right and down a bit from the Rico in Puerto Rico, you'll see this storm. This is Hurricane Fabian, a Category 4 storm, very powerful here. It has marched its way across the Atlantic and right now is our main focus of concern here in the Atlantic Basin. Here's the latest details on it. As of the 11 p.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center, the center of Fabian placed 235 miles east-northeast of the northern Leeward Islands, which are these islands right here, including such islands as St. Martin and St. Croix, and then you head over to the Virgin Islands and then Puerto Rico. As of 11 p.m., top wind speeds 145 miles an hour. That's about 10 miles an hour or so shy of being a Category 5 storm. It's moving off to the west-northwest at 10 miles an hour with an estimated central pressure of 942 millibars. Here's a little look at it right now, and still a very, very healthy storm. The eye just blazingly obvious here on the satellite picture. And again, to set your perspective, here are the northern Leeward Islands, and then the island of Puerto Rico here, and then Hispaniola further off to the west. Now, this looks to be taking a track that will take it north of the islands and then begin turning northward here over the next couple of days, and that certainly is some excellent news. But we'll monitor this carefully as it progresses farther northward, because right now, of course, the farther north you get, you're starting to get closer to the United States and Bermuda. We'll have to monitor carefully to see what track it takes over the next few days. We'll go farther east. A bit of disturbed weather here in the western Caribbean, just to the south of Cuba. It's been bringing some showers and storms from Cuba across the Florida Straits, some very wet weather around the Keys right now. We've seen some heavy rain around Miami and West Palm Beach. The rest of the Gulf looking pretty quiet at this moment. And wanted also to take a look off the coast of Africa. This is the time of the year, the Cape Verde season, when we do see storms form not too long after exiting off of Africa. Right now we do have some showers and storms out there, but nothing at the present time that looks to be getting organized, and that's some good news. We're going to dive back into the Caribbean. Once again, there's Fabian to the east of Puerto Rico. There is our area of disturbed weather moving its way across Cuba. We'll watch this carefully. And then as we focus in even tighter on the Gulf, I just wanted to point out, you see those showers and storms in the Keys, a stormy night around Key West, but the rest of the Gulf of Mexico, fairly quiet. A bit of an upper-level low here, which would work to inhibit development. Notice all the shear, all the clouds being ripped quickly from southwest to northeast here across the eastern Gulf, and that would work to inhibit the development of anything at the surface underneath that. Here in the eastern Pacific, we are watching an area of disturbed weather to the west-southwest of Acapulco, but our main concern here in the Pacific, at least the central Pacific now, is Tropical Storm Jimena, which as of the 5 p.m. Hawaiian Standard Time advisory was centered 240 miles southwest of South Point on the Big Island. It's moving off to the west at 16 miles an hour with top winds of 50 miles an hour. And as you can see, it really has fallen apart to the large extent. Brought some squally weather to the Big Island, but otherwise nothing too serious. Well, stay with us here at the Weather Channel. We've got Local on the 8s next, and then we'll be back at the top of the hour.
When you've got the mobile power of a Sony Vaio, you want to take it everywhere. Just be prepared for a little extra attention.
Here's your coffee, sir.
Check out the sleek Z1 notebook with built-in wireless and powered by Intel Centrino mobile technology, and you'll see why. Or check out the Thin and Light V505 with a mobile Intel Pentium 4 processor M. Beauty and brains in one package. Exactly what you'd expect from Sony. Vaio gives you the power you need to go anywhere.
Can I get you some more water?
I think I'm okay for now.
Wireless freedom to work from anywhere.
Time now for your tropical update here on the Weather Channel. I'm Janetta Jones. We're going to begin with a look at what's happening across the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic. And the big thing that just stands out right off the bat is Hurricane Fabian. Right there just to the north of Puerto Rico. This is a Category 4 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson scale. It's very powerful, winds up over 140 miles per hour. And right now it's not threatening any land, but we think that over the next 24 hours it may bring some heavy surf to places like the Virgin Islands, the northern Leeward Islands, as well as Puerto Rico. So something to keep in mind. The good news is it's not going to be a big threat to any of those islands as far as the rain and wind and flooding are concerned. Elsewhere in the Caribbean, we've been watching this flare-up of convection. It's rather disorganized, part of it in the Gulf of Mexico already. We don't see any signs of development at this point. A reconnaissance aircraft was going to go in today, but now that has been canceled. We'll have to wait and see if anything does develop. We're certainly going to monitor the situation for you. And we do feel that with this tropical moisture moving into the Gulf of Mexico, that some of the winds are going to be shifting across Florida from the easterly flow you've been getting over the last several days to more of a southwesterly flow, and so that's going to pull some more moisture into your vicinity, and for that reason we have flash flood watches in effect for central and southern Florida. I want to give you the latest on Hurricane Fabian. Right now it's centered about 200 miles north-northeast of Barbuda, and the winds are at 140 miles per hour. Its movement west-northwest at 10 miles per hour, so it has held together a very strong hurricane for quite some time, all this way actually, as it became a hurricane out in the central Atlantic. And now it's moving just to the north of the islands, which is great news that we can report to you that it's not affecting land at this point. And here's another vantage point of what's going on with this 140 mile per hour wind hurricane moving west-northwest at 10 miles per hour. Now, what is the deal? What's going to happen with it in the future? Well, we do think it's going to hold together, not weaken that much as it continues to move on its present track. As you can see, we can clearly see the eye, the center of circulation there with this hurricane. It is a powerful hurricane, no doubt about that. We think it will continue on this track and make more of a curve, if you will, away from the eastern seaboard. That's the thinking right now. Hopefully that is what is going to pan out. As you look at the San Juan radar, you can see some scattered showers and thunder showers, but nothing too heavy at this point. Here's the track that we're anticipating as we go right on through into the weekend. Beyond that, a little uncertain as to what's going to happen, but remember, we have the trough that's moving along the eastern seaboard that will help to steer that on away from the lower 48. That's what we're thinking right now. So, elsewhere across the Caribbean, all is relatively quiet. Want to zoom in on some of that convection and tell you about some showers and thunder showers in Cancun and Belize across the Yucatan Peninsula. Elsewhere in the Gulf of Mexico, just that flare-up that we're watching very closely. We have a couple of tropical waves, one just off of the coast of Africa and another one just outside of the Cape Verde Islands. This one bears some watching, could have a little bit of a circulation at the surface. We're going to have to wait and see, but at this point the Hurricane Center is going to be watching it. Tropical storm Jimena, which was a little stronger yesterday as it was bringing some heavy rain across the Big Island, now dissipating and moving away from Hawaii. Winds at 40 miles per hour. Movement going to continue to be towards the west at 16 miles per hour, and it will continue to dissipate as it moves away from any land at this point. So not a threat to Hawaii at all anymore, although we did see some heavy rain, especially in the mountainous regions of the Big Island. And looking at the radar, you can see that actually even the rain has calmed down a little bit. Some flare-up of convection just off of the coast of Mexico, south of Cabo San Lucas and the Gulf of California. We're going to watch that very closely. Not a tropical depression right now. We do, however, have a typhoon that's moving on across Taiwan and into China. Hong Kong has had winds reported at 66 miles per hour. So we're going to watch that very closely, too, over the next 24-hour period. Here in the lower 48, heavy rain, really a huge story. In fact, flash flooding is going to be a big concern today in Kentucky, as well as West Virginia and Ohio. Some areas have received way too much rain, and we've got more on the forecast ticket. Well, stay with us. Coming up, we'll take a look at your local on the 8s.
I've got sunshine on a cloudy day. When it's cold outside, I've got the month of May.
I guess you'd say, what can make me feel this way?
Nothing sounds as good.
On Thursday, we'll have temperatures in the high 70s. with scattered thunderstorms. Expect fair skies on Friday and Saturday.
68 years ago today, the Florida Keys became ground zero for the strongest hurricane to ever hit this country. On September 2nd, 1935, what later became known as the Labor Day hurricane tore into the Keys with winds close to 200 miles an hour. The unnamed hurricane killed more than 400 people. The death toll was so high because at the time it hit, there were more than 250 World War I veterans helping with the construction of a highway to Key West. Well, welcome to your tropical update. Let's check in with our hurricane expert, Dr. Steve Lyons. And Steve, we're still keeping a close eye on Fabian.
We sure are, and it's made a move toward the west-northwest and should continue on a more northwest track through time. Let's have a look at it and get the latest hurricane information. 140 miles per hour, still a Category 4. It should weaken over the next 3 days as it begins to move over cooler water and in more shear aloft. But right now it's still holding in very strong at a Category 4. West-northwest at 10, pressure 945 millibars. Here's a close-up view of it. There's the circulation center. Here's Puerto Rico and the northern islands. The only thing you're going to get from this is a few showers, some high clouds, and some high surf along the northeast beaches. So watch out for dangerous surf conditions there the next 24 to 36 hours. Now let's look at the water vapor imagery. Here's the circulation here, and with an advancing trough of low pressure, the winds have turned around toward the west, and that's picking the circulation up. At the same time, this advancing low-level trough is pushing the surface high pressure that it was moving around back to the east, so it's moving more quickly around the high pressure, and that's making it move toward the north in the general direction of the island of Bermuda. When we look at the projected path, this is where we expect it to go, the island of Bermuda being about right there. And keep in mind, as it moves to the north, it's not going to remain a Category 4 hurricane. We don't think it'll be down to probably a Category 1 or 2 as it passes closer just to the west of Bermuda over the next 3 days, and then curves back toward the northeast, toward the Canadian Maritimes. What impact do we expect from the hurricane for the U.S. East Coast? Wave action in the form of swell. Some of that could reach 10 to 15 feet on Cape Hatteras by Friday. And as the system moves close to Bermuda, look at that, 20 to 25 feet, even maybe 30 feet locally, depending on which side of the island it moves. If it moves on the west side, it'll be higher. So keep an eye on that. In the meantime, watch out for dangerous rip currents developing along the Carolinas the next 24 to 36 hours. Gulf of Mexico, we've been monitoring a mid-level low-pressure system. Still another cluster of showers there with another mid-level low-pressure center trying to form there, all in association with a strong upper-level low-pressure system here to the west. This is going to come up and merge with this mid-latitude frontal boundary, and we think a weak low-pressure center is going to form here just to the west of Florida. The bottom line is rainy weather for Florida Keys and the Florida Peninsula, rainier than normal anyway, over the next 48 hours, and we'll be monitoring to see if a low-pressure center forms at the surface. Right now, there is not one, but that's at the hot spot in the Gulf of Mexico. Remainder of the Atlantic, a couple of weak low-pressure centers. One just came off the African coast. Another one here. We expect these to do sort of a dance around each other and potentially form one larger, stronger low-pressure system over the next 3 days. We'll monitor that as it drifts toward the west at about 10 miles per hour. Out off a Mexican coastline, broad area of low pressure. Some strong winds coming onshore, about 25 miles per hour offshore. That's going to produce some wave action about 6 to 8 feet along the Mexican coast just south of Manzanillo. So watch out for dangerous rip currents there. But the low pressure system is moving away from the coast. Out toward Hawaii, back to paradise as usual, just a little bit windy. The low pressure center is moving off to the southwest, no longer a threat. If you're heading to Hong Kong, watch out for some rainy weather the next 24 hours. Christina?
All right, thanks for the update. Well, there's much more to come on the second hour of Weather Center. Stay with us. We'll be back after your local on the 8th.
Yep, it's someone's birthday. Ours. And that means it's your lucky day. You can get $100 off any desktop with a fast Intel Pentium 4 processor, including our Media Center PC that lets you record live TV and organize your digital photos and music. Or if you prefer, desktops start at just $399.99 and notebooks start at $7.